Hello, everybody. Here we are for the ninth edition of FriDAI Brunch. This brunch is, as you know, a part of an event series focused on Web3 and blockchain topics dedicated to everyone. So all the newbies, also experienced crypto enthusiasts, everybody. We are four people. I mean, we have three guests plus me, and we are in four different geographic areas. So we have Mehran in New York, Simona in UK, and Ganzaro, who is now, I see him blocked. Ganzaro, you're I don't know what's happening, but you should probably reload your camera. Okay, now I see you. He is in Africa, in Ghana, Accra. And today we will talk about how blockchain can impact positively on society and humanity. So I invited these speakers because they somehow are all involved in this kind of activities related to society, charity, or positive impact on the society. We are waiting now for Ganzaro to reconnect, but in the meantime, I would like to start introducing the other guests. So if you want, Mehran, to say some words about you and your background.
Sure, sounds good. Thank you everyone for joining today's panel. My name is Mehran Hydary, and I'm currently a product manager at Unicef's blockchain team. As a product manager at Unicef's blockchain team, I'm working with various UN agencies, Unicef itself, and also governments around the world to figure out what exactly they want to do with cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Prior to that, I did work at Deloitte's blockchain team, and before that, I graduated from electrical engineering at the University of Toronto. Excited to be on the panel today.
Thank you, Mehran. Thank you for the introduction. Then we can go with you, Simona.
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Simona. I currently head up community and community strategy for Status. That is a communications platform, a crypto wallet, and a Web3 browser. Prior to this, I co-founded the Bounties Network, and that's where a lot of the work that we did was around social and environmental impact. It's how I know Mehran and the Unicef Innovation team, and we can chat about that in a bit. And then just generally, it's an area that interests me particularly when it comes to Web3 and what crypto can achieve in terms of leveling out the playing field when it comes to resources and to opportunity, not just in the traditional kind of points of economic and social prosperity, but everywhere. So excited to be here.
Thank you, Simona. And then Omar, can you, or Ganzaro? Okay, let me explain. So we have these two names here. So today we will call him Ganzaro because we have to be friendly since it's a brunch. But his name is Omar actually. So Ganzaro, please go ahead in introducing yourself.
Hi, hello everyone. Thanks for having me on. So my name is Omar or Ganzaro. I'm a software developer and a Solidity developer, very interested in DeFi. So I also co-founded Afroblocks. That's a community events group in Ghana. So we inform and educate people about cryptocurrencies, and we have chat groups and so on. And we are planning to go more into social media now. Used to be a physical meetup, but because of the pandemic, we decided to refocus on online and social media.
Cool, thank you. Hello, Sabia, welcome. I see him in the chat. Another quick, super quick, 2 words question to break the ice with you guys. So we start with Mehran, and the question is, what is the first thing you think when you wake up in the morning? Could be also not crypto related, but please be polite.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's very difficult to not jump into Twitter or my emails right away. So I have a ritual that I need to complete before I actually do, jump into work. And so for me, the first few things that I think about is, getting my coffee straight, taking a shower, catching up on messages that are not blockchain or crypto related, because, I found that once you dive in, your entire day it starts and you don't even know when it ends. And so I make sure that I take care of myself before diving into work in the crypto space.
Good. Simona.
That's a good one. You definitely have to make sure you don't dive straight into the crypto rabbit hole, because like you say, it's just like eternity after that. I definitely used to do that. So I would essentially get my phone to stop my alarm, and then there would be all of these notifications that would just be like, oh my God, I need to look into this immediately. And but now I've kind of started doing this thing where I shared it yesterday on Twitter, actually. I started having this practice of browsing crypto art on Super Rare with my coffee.
Oh.
And I find it such a nice kind of tranquil experience of just seeing, new art, potentially new artists, or new art from artists that I follow. And it's actually a really, really nice way to ease in. It's kind of crypto, but kind of not necessarily as high speed as typical crypto things are. And then I was having, a conversation in the comments, and somebody said, well, actually, that would be super stressful to me because I would want to buy everything and I can't literally buy everything. So it can be a little bit of an interesting experience depending on where you are in terms of crypto art. So
that's amazing. Also now crypto art is super FOMO, and I think it's great to see how it is evolving. And Ganzaro?
Okay, so it's like this is I don't really wake up in the morning. I work at night. So the first thing I think of when I wake up is my son, and then my coffee, and then I'm back to crypto and work.
Good. I have also a dog, and the first thing I need to do is bring her to pee. So that's when you have to think to someone else, of course. Okay, nice, guys. So now we can jump in the main discussion. The first question, I think it's relevant for everyone, and then I will probably ask you a question each. And more specific for your profile. But this first question for me is important. I mean, for the audience to understand your attitude, no? So what was your very first approach to the blockchain in general, and when you did realize that the blockchain could somehow solve some problems that we face in the society, and how did you engage in this? We can start again with Mehran, and then follow the order.
Sounds good. So my first experience with blockchain was specifically with Bitcoin. And I think I was a bit lucky because at my previous job, we actually had a Bitcoin ATM in our lobby downstairs. So I'd come into the office. When I'd leave the office, I would always see this Bitcoin ATM. But it actually took me a few months to approach, this weird device. Weird at the time. So this was back, I guess, in 2016. I was like 1 year out of school. And, you hear about Bitcoin in the media, but you don't take it too seriously because I'm like, oh, I need to find a real job. I need to do this. And I guess I was just naive in that sense. But when I did start at Deloitte, I had a friend that started with me, and she started on the blockchain team, and I was doing like normal business work at a consulting firm. And so at some point, I think we were leaving the office together. My friend, her name is Mawada Basir. She currently works at Polymath. So, also neck deep in blockchain right now. She was like, hey, Mehran, did you know if you put a $20 bill in this ATM, you can get Bitcoin? And I was like, okay, like you need to unpack that for me. And so, she knew I was a fairly technical person because I studied engineering. And so she dove into, private keys, having control of your money. And, it still didn't click to me. I was like, we can go to our banks, we can open a savings account. Like, what's the point? And then she started giving me a more global context. She's like, in North America, we don't have issues holding our money, opening a savings account. If you move from Toronto to a different place, you'll still have access to your money and it's all fine here. But if you now expand that scope to different parts of the world, that's not always the case. People are getting displaced. People are having their governments turn on them. And all of a sudden, the money that they actually own is no longer theirs. And then, with the explanation that she gave me around private keys and owning a crypto wallet and owning your Bitcoin, my curiosity was properly sparked, and since then I actually didn't look back. I actually very quickly moved to Deloitte's blockchain team to start my career in that space, and it's been blockchain ever since. So I think I learned about Bitcoin end of 2016, and then I moved into the blockchain team a month after, and it's been a great journey since then. So that was my first encounter.
Thank you. Very, very nice. Simona?
That's definitely a good one with the ATM in the hallway. It's just like the omens were there for you.
Exactly.
There's no escaping. Love it. I did not have a Bitcoin ATM in my story, but I think one of the main things that struck me very early on was this ability to transact without having to go through the usual banking rails. And I think from there, obviously looking at the fact that those banking rails, very much like Mehran mentioned, are not there everywhere. We just assume there's, this is the status quo everywhere, but actually you have not just the unbanked that you hear about, and we constantly kind of have that thrown around here, there, and everywhere, but you have people who are underbanked. So stuff is there, but it's just not serving them really in any shape or form. And I think that ability to transact cross borders and cross kind of currencies and all of that comes, all of the heavy admin fee network implications that come with the traditional banking transfer was just suddenly removed, and you could do all of these transacting of value without the need for people to have a bank account or to be part of the SWIFT network or to be, this, that, and the other, all of these requirements. And I think that's where it really clicked for me in terms of that access that I mentioned earlier, because you're suddenly like, oh, okay, this actually opens up all of this potential and all of these possibilities that just have not been there for decades on end. And so, yeah, once that kind of sparked, it was just, okay, how can we get this going immediately, essentially?
Yeah, I more or less had the same experience as you, especially talking about DeFi in particular, no? Because these things that you are saying is even more true in the decentralized finance, the inclusion, etc. But I want to hear.
We'll chat about that in a second. Whether DeFi is inclusive. Yeah, let's get to that.
Okay, that was my experience. Actually, my very first experience was CryptoKitty, if I have to be sincere. But okay, Ganzaro, I want to hear from you because I think you had I mean, you come from a very different geographic area, but also a different culture, especially as regard the financial and economic situation. So please tell us about your experience.
Well, okay. So before I heard about Bitcoin and blockchain technology, I had some bad experiences with international payments. It's like I wanted to write American SAT exams, but I had to pay for them. So I went to the banks in Ghana and I told them I need to make a payment for these exams, and they said they can't help me. All right. So I had to find a friend who had a US bank account to pay. I have to pay my SAT exams. And then I traveled to Europe. So I was in Spain, and then later I went to England, and then I realized that when you travel on a student visa, your financial and banking activities are restricted. You can't really be receiving money. You can't really be sending money, and also you can't also receive money from Africa, because in those days they'll tell you that you can't send money abroad for education, only for business. All right. Then when I was in England, I heard about currencies like e-gold and Liberty Reserve, okay, which allowed you to have international payments. But then I read that the FBI went and closed them down. Okay. So it was a while, and then I've been hearing of Bitcoin because I'm a programmer and I follow programmers news. But I thought it was a game currency or some internet currency, and I thought it was a fad and it was useless. Okay. Then I noticed people are saying the price is rising, the price has dropped, the price is rising again. People are wealthy now. So I decided to look into Bitcoin, and when I researched into it, I said this is exactly what I'm looking for. A decentralized platform to send and receive money without permission from anyone. Yeah.
And okay, and yeah, of course, this experience, was teaching you how blockchain could actually help the society somehow.
Yeah.
I think this is the main point in the end, that all of you guys mentioned, the fact that this is something borderless without the need of intermediaries, and it's easy, transparent, mostly transparent, and that's the thing in the end. But I want to ask something to Mehran, who is actually working for a very big organization operating in the charity sector. As you know, everybody knows Unicef. And I want to ask, where, in your opinion, in which area there are different areas of charity? So there are humanitarian help, welfare, earth and ambiental issues, etc. So in which area do you think blockchain could have as now and could have in years the most impact? This is the question.
Yeah, so before I jump into that, I wanted to add I have over 100 crypto kitties. so yes, like
I don't have mine anymore.
Oh no. Yeah, so I kind of bought a ton. I even made some of my friends get into crypto. I was like, hey, for my birthday, buy some Ether and send me a crypto kitty. And I'm sure they'll thank me in a few years with whatever leftover Ether they have in their wallets. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. So now, how I see blockchain and crypto impacting in the short term and in the long term. So at UNICEF, we focus on children emergencies around the world, and so we look at a variety of different things. We look at how blockchain and crypto can impact education, financial inclusion, and all these different areas. And so I think with the state of the technology now, I think there's a lot of potential to actually enable financial inclusion for a lot of the areas that we work in. And so, it doesn't mean that we want children to start interacting with, financial derivatives or have these complex trading accounts. I think to have the children and their parents have access to normal savings accounts that are tied to their identity in some sense. I think that's going to be one of the big use cases that we'll see roll out. If we're lucky, we may even see community lending, for example, with crypto be a big use case that occurs as well. We worked with a university in the US that built us a very small prototype. They actually took Compound's lending protocol, and they're like, if we can set this up at a school, have parents invest together, and Compound will then take that crypto, invest it or lend it out in the DeFi ecosystem, and whatever interest that it generates for the school can be put back into the school to pay teachers, maybe pay for internet connectivity. That's kind of like what a small use case that we're exploring. So that's kind of where we see things happening now. And a lot of interest, I think, in the blockchain community is how can these DeFi protocols impact things now.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was mentioning that this is actually a super cool use case, one of the lending platform, and it can be actually done with several of them because there is also Aave, for example.
Exactly.
And, yeah. But please go ahead with the long-term vision.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems that a lot of people are trying to tackle in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space is what constitutes as an identity. So, we have this decentralized platform now that allows people to exchange value, exchange data. But at the end of the day, we're still asking who in this network or what in this network will validate a person, right? So do we need to get doctors involved to say, here are the birth certificates for a certain person? Do we need to get governments involved? Does this wallet need to have a certain number of transactions? I think we're still in the early stages to say that blockchain identities are tied to a blockchain wallet, or this government dictates that this wallet is this person. But I think, as more and more people come into the space, as user experiences improve, as more and more people interact with blockchain, I think in 10 years' time, there will be a solid case for having identities somehow be represented on crypto or blockchain networks.
Yeah, I think especially for this kind of big organization as a Unicef, I think regulations are a bit important there, regulatory framework. But now, as you mentioned, as DeFi and crypto are growing, institutions and regulators are paying more and more attention, and we will be, and also to create, I think, to create faith and trust in the users. You need some regulatory framework, especially when you are dealing with these kind of things like charity causes, etc.
Yeah. What's interesting now is UNICEF is uniquely positioned to work with a lot of different governments and UN agencies, and a lot of them are willing to set up sandbox environments to actually pursue various experiments, whether it's with crypto and DeFi, whether it is representing identity on blockchain. And so we have a lot of prototypes that we're running at UNICEF, or helping other government agencies or other UN offices run to experiment and see how blockchain can be applied in this context. So they're definitely interested. They want to use that research to build out policies and regulatory frameworks. And that's why I think in 10 years, we'll get closer to the sovereign identity that I think everyone's pursuing.
Yeah, I think it's great personally that UNICEF is dealing with this, because it can be pivotal for a lot of other organizations that now are far away from the using blockchain technology, for example, because it's you guys are like OG of the big organization in these kind of things, you know, and maybe you can be of example to the others. Thanks. I really much appreciate your answer, and now I want to ask something to Simona. So it has been a while that you are in the space, that you have been in the space now, because I remember you from the very first travel I made during my blockchain. I mean, Simona is everywhere. And I think that has always been there. But I wanted to know, during this long journey you had, which was the best always in terms of social impact, etc. Which was the best project you worked on, and also if you were not involved in a project, which project you think are the best so far in this scenario?
So I think and again, just because you mentioned that I've been around for a good few years, it's now the 4th year, which is like 1,000 in normal life years. Yeah. But I think for me, it's always been very, very important to essentially have that real life impact, right? So what are the effects that crypto can have in real life? And from very early on, I wanted to create these examples of what crypto could do, or what it could be used for, or what it could essentially help in terms of effecting change. And one of them, my absolute favorite one is still Bounties for the Oceans, where we set up this bounty that paid out a small amount of DAI, because we did it with MakerDAO. You were the first partner, and we had like this bounty pot in DAI, and we were paying people for cleanups, and we just launched it and wanted to see what people would do. And to our big surprise, we had loads of people contributing to this bounty and started cleaning up all sorts of places all around the world. So Europe, the US, Argentina, I think we had somebody in Tasmania, literally everywhere. And what was really interesting was that none of these, or most of these, the people who were doing it had no technical background, didn't necessarily have an insight into cryptography or believe in decentralization or any of the other stuff. It was just, hey, I'm going to do this, and potentially I can earn this cryptocurrency. And I think that earning of crypto then, for me, really launched this dynamic of rewarding people for their time, and also, again, enabling that access to a resource in a much more straightforward way, in a much simpler way than what has been available so far. And from there, we obviously did the pilot in the Philippines, where we onboarded this group of fishermen from this local community in Manila Bay, onboarded them all onto wallets. This was 2018, gas was cheap. But managed to onboard them onto mobile wallets and have them complete that same bounty, or rather a bounty that we had set up specifically for it, but the mechanism was the same, and earn crypto as a means of rewarding them for their work, essentially. And for me, that pilot, or that event, or that kind of organizing that, was to prove that you could actually create these opportunities and have funds come in from anywhere in the world, because we had different people contributing to that part of that bounty. Organizations, individuals. I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I've just been paid for this technical interview, can I donate all the money to the pot? And I'm like, of course, here it is. You just go click contribute and that's it. And then the fact that you could build this flow in such a simple amount of steps and link people across the globe by this very simple mechanism is incredibly powerful. And what it could mean for charities, for organizations working for disaster relief, for all of this, it just has those reverberations are profound. So I think for me, that was incredibly eye-opening, not just to the potential by any means, but also to the hindrances that we, to the hurdles that we still have to remove, that we still need to work on, like don't make everything for desktop. Mobile is, people access digital services from mobile around the world much more. So just these, or think of connectivity. A lot of people don't have unlimited data on their phones. If you're going to make them spend X amount of time to download something or to do something using up their data, you can't really do that, or make it worth that data expenditure.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
I like. I am a super fan of your project, and also, besides from all over the world, something very important you said, that not just crypto fans or technically informed people joined. You can reach everyone. Since the point, in my opinion, is that you need to make it simple, to understand. The process should be as simple as possible to be able to have a strong impact, of course.
And I'll just punctuate that with another example. Again, for the initial bounty for cleanups, we actually had Brandon, who was part of the Bounties Network community, who was homeless in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was doing cleanups and earning crypto, and he had access to a crypto ATM, and he was cashing out. I mean,
and I don't think he was
no, not a developer, but like you say, it's the simplicity of it makes it work. Yeah. Because you have this, you do this, here's the reward.
Exactly. And that's connect me to the next question that I want to do, to make to Ganzaro, which is, in your opinion, how much is it important for the common people, so non-technical in general, for example, my mom, to understand the blockchain technology in order to take the best in the whole society. So in your opinion, it's that much important that people understand the technicalities behind it, or you think, as we said, that you should not try to hide, but try to make it simple for the audience to understand how to do actually things. And another question also connected to this is, do you think it's most relevant to educate people, so final users, or institutions, to make the most impact on the society with the blockchain?
Okay, so I believe to introduce people, you don't have to go into the very deep end of blockchain, because I remember even for me, I was a developer, and when I was learning about Bitcoin, people were talking about mining and hashing, and I got confused. So the simple way that someone showed me was, he brought out his wallet, and he asked me to download the wallet, and he transferred some money to me, and I transferred some money back to him. So you have to educate people in a way that is most useful for them, and then gradually they'll be able to learn more. So gradually they'll learn that, okay, it's decentralized, and how do you keep a decentralized system running? what are the incentives. So at first you have the mining, and this is you're moving on to proof of stake. So a lot of people stake money in to validate transactions. So it's a gradual process. So now the exciting thing we have right now is a DeFi. So it's good to introduce people to DeFi and to show them that they can buy coins, they can earn money from liquidity pools, or they can lend out money to people, and they can also borrow money. So these are simple concepts for people to understand now. The only problem now is the high gas fees, but like $100 gas fees. But I think there's a lot of solutions coming up. Your second question. So myself, I'm a grassroots guy. I'm not an institution guy. Okay, so I focus on grassroots. I announce an event. I see who is interested. People ask me questions. I spend time with them because I think that institutions are risk averse, and they follow an established order. You know, nobody. It's like they have a railway track, and they want to move on the railway track. Okay. It's very risky for them to go off the track. And if they see that other big institutions, like right now, we've heard that MicroStrategy bought Bitcoin, Elon Musk bought Bitcoin, and maybe Oracle and Apple may now buy Bitcoin. So this rather convince the institutions to move them. Yeah. But mind you, it was individuals like Michael Saylor and Elon Musk who decided on the move to Bitcoin first. It wasn't a boardroom meeting and they decided that.
So it's always final user in the end. You say.
Yeah. So I say that focus on the common people.
So Elon Musk is a common person who decided to. No, it's true. You're completely right. But what I think is that you so to have the most from the blockchain as a society, you need to influence as well and educate as well the institutions. However, you do this by starting from, as you said, individuals. So now we are in the phase where we need to educate the final users and the individuals. I agree. And then it comes maybe in 5 years or something, it comes naturally. And I want to ask regarding education to Simona, since I know that you, like me, spent a lot of time in also educational activities. What, in your opinion, are the best tools to educate people, the mainstream audience, in terms of initiatives, like concrete stuff, like workshop, social media? What are, in your opinion?
None of us. Just quickly, I wanted to mention, just coming back to the institutions versus users real quick. I think we're not that different from a usual tech adoption curve. You have innovators at the beginning, and you have people falling into place. Like Elon Musk, he's an innovator, and he's the boss of his own company, so he decided to do that. Very simple. I think, obviously, individuals, it's much easier to have responsibility for you and yourself versus a whole tankard of an enterprise that you're dragging with you. It's never going to happen. right? Mainly because of the size and the risk adversity and so on. There's so many implications that an individual's responsibility is far less, I guess, notable to move. And then in terms of education, I think learn by doing is the best way. None of the things that we tend to think, and this is very simple, it's like classroom stuff one-on-one, and we all remember a lot of this stuff anyway. When somebody presents you with a text, when you have to go through something that is a very passive assimilation of material, much less gets stuck in your brain, or you are able to put that into practice, right? Theory, practice, a big or several steps need to happen in between those two. But when you learn by doing, when you practically go into the things that you are learning about or apply them to very specific actions or to very specific scenarios, you essentially learn as a flow of interacting with the thing that you are learning about. And so I think this is why one of the main reasons for downloading the wallet, doing something with a wallet, performing a certain action in terms of staking or in terms of lending or in terms of sending, that wires it into your mind, and then potentially you do it 2 or 3 times, then it becomes something that is well on its way to become potentially a habit, or become something that you do quite naturally without any kind of hiccups or second guessing yourself, because you've actually done it and nothing bad has happened, or something bad has happened but you have learned from it, so you don't do it again. So learn by doing is 110% the way to go.
I agree, but I also think that you, especially in this time where we can't do like anything, like physically, I mean, sometimes it's also nice to have good contents, which are not social media, in my opinion, but like resources that people or videos or something that people could read. For example, this conversation that we are having now, and in general this series, worth to talk about something concrete and then lead people to learn by doing. So it's
but that's what I mean. Don't do videos about decentralization.
No, of course.
Do a guide about doing something. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's exactly also the purpose of this, for example, this panel of today, to show people that we are doing something, And speaking of which, Mehran, I want to know the main challenges that you face in your job, in your everyday job, could be related to final users or to partners that you deal with, because I think that you as a Unicef are very I mean, you need to build the trust, no? So how can you do it? Which are the challenges and your weapons, your tools to educate in this sense to build trust?
Yeah, for sure. So, I think Gonzalo and Simona touched on some very important points. What's interesting about our team is we're like a startup within this behemoth of an organization. And it's not just limited to UNICEF. Because we're one of the larger UN agencies, we actually do play a pretty big role in other UN agencies, and countries and governments also reach out to us and they're like, hey, like, we see that you're doing blockchain. How do we get involved? Now, this imposes a very big challenge because there's a lot of interest from blockchain startups and blockchain companies that are established in the ecosystem that are dying to do things with UN agencies and governments. And then you have governments that really want to do a lot of this work, UN agencies that get blockchain, they get cryptocurrencies, because over the last few years, our team has done a lot of seminars and workshops to give them the fundamentals and practical experiences of like setting up wallets, interacting with crypto, using a testnet, because we have like that startup in the UN kind of vibe. Now, we're getting to the point where institutions are ready to do things, but nobody wants to go first. And so, you know, I'm meeting with people around the world, ministers, governments. They're like, yeah, let's do this thing. We'll give you the space. Let's do the sandbox. But is someone else doing something similar already? And we're like, yes and no. They're having the same conversations with us, but they're not really in that space. And so, you know, there's a lot of kind of circling around, like, you know, we want to set up a crypto wallet, we want to accept crypto. And so I'm chasing a lot of people in different time zones, different countries at different stages of exploration. Now, on the flip side, you know, Unicef, for example, recently set up a crypto fund that allows the organization to hold, accept, and disperse crypto. And then, you know, that for a lot of these countries and governments and UN agencies is the thing that they needed to see to now start work on their side. They're like, okay, UNICEF's doing it, so we can do it too. And so now, on the flip side, our small startup-like team is now getting pulled in like 100 different directions with all of these organizations that want to set up the similar crypto fund structure in their organization as well. And what's neat about it, and what's also complex about it, which talks to a lot of the latency and slowness of working with large institutions, is it took us 2 years to set up because we had to engage our legal team, our finance team, our tech teams. And now we're doing that times, you know, 100 with all of the different groups that we work with. And so challenges are getting people on board, but then when they are on board, it's exponential. So those are my two big challenges right now.
Yeah. I think I think we all share these challenges, but you maybe a bit even more because you are dealing with these big institutions, and building trust is not easy, especially when I repeat myself, when it comes to charity, etc.
I just want to add quickly a little kind of anecdote from, I can't remember, 2019 or something. And I think it was your lawyers, Mehran, the Unicef lawyers, that were like, what are you doing with smart contracts? Why are you signing contracts without us?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just, no, it's not that type of contract. You just, it's okay. It's okay.
My son.
but something as simple like that will impose like a 1 or 2 week delay, right? And we're like, yo, we just need to launch the thing.
We have to think about blockchain, in my opinion, as internet, no? So now my mom goes on Google, and even my grandma went on Google easily. But in the first years, like, what is this? Oh my God! Oh no! Oh wow! The same with credit cards. The same. I mean, it's as Simona said, it's the curve of innovation, and we need to follow. And now it's a hard time for us because we are already there, but people are not. You know, I mean, a lot of people are not. Final question for Ganzaro. We noticed a boom. So this year was, let me tell this word, a shit for everyone because of pandemic. So 2020 is too delayed. But for the blockchain, for DeFi, was a huge, you know, a bomb, a super good year. So do you think there is a connection between the two things? Do you think that, for example, developers were super bored at home, so they started to, you know, producing a lot? I don't know what happened. Why we are now in this situation?
Okay, so so first of all, I'm very amused that a lot of people have joined my lifestyle because I'm a freelance and remote developer, always working from home or from hubs. So Yeah, I can experience what people are feeling now. So the lockdown prevented them from moving around. They had to stay at home. So what are the options? So your economic and social activities are restricted. So what can you do? So you get on the internet and you search, how can I make money? And then you hear of someone who put $1,000 in DeFi and came out with like $10,000. You say, wow, let me check that out. That's very interesting. So you start to research about blockchain techs and about DeFi, and you learn a lot. So you watch the YouTube, you follow Twitter, and because you now have more time on your hands, because you can't go to you don't spend 2 hours going to work. You don't go and visit friends in the pub. So you have more time. You have more time to research. So yes, I definitely feel that the pandemic has contributed to the great interest in blockchain since last year.
Yeah. So, do you think, what do you guys have to add something to this? Do you think there is any link between the pandemic and the boom of the industry?
I mean, I'm working at home, and I think that means I put in more hours into the office. So I do spend more time personally researching different DeFi protocols. I don't know where my day ends and when it starts. So I think just the nature of that implies that I'm doing more work. But through that, people are putting in more work. They're looking and focusing on where the gaps are, because this is a strong community, and they're seeing more and more people are getting into this space. So maybe let's make learning resources easier to access. Maker, I've seen you guys have a ton of good videos that teach people how to use your products, how to set up wallets, how to open a vault, for example. These things are getting better and better, and I think it's a result of people having, say, more time because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Exactly, I agree. I mean, it is. I think people have more time to educate themselves and researching a bit and making experiments as well, and also making experiments and losing, risking to lose some money, because since we are not spending a lot of money to travel, to dress up, to go out for dinner, you say, okay, I have these 300 blocks left from my not made dinners outside. Let's invest. I will try, and then I think could be also the reason, but we don't know.
I think in terms of the accessibility to events, we have seen a lot more hackathons this year because they have been virtual, and all of them across the board have had much, much higher attendance, right? Because there isn't that barrier of having to travel to a physical location. So ETH Denver, case in point, had far more developers signing up, far more viewers seeing the content and things like that. So this kind of dynamic of not having IRL events is a double-edged sword, because it does mean that you can do less from an engagement perspective, but it does mean that you can have more people tuning in because they can just do it from their living room. So I think that's also benefited. And in terms of what I've seen projects coming out of the hackathons, because again, I have the pleasure of judging a lot of them or seeing a lot of the submissions. It's like Mehran said, it is the taking what is there and then pushing it to the next level, right? Taking some of the lending stuff and putting it towards interesting use cases that solve a specific problem. So I think we're seeing a lot more of that trend as well. Where we don't just focus on making something fun for a weekend, but rather a solution that genuinely solves a problem.
I totally agree. Yeah, that was what I actually mentioned in the first place. So developers are more focused because they are home and and they work. I mean, and as we know from these hackathons, a lot of very good solutions come out. Okay. I think we guys are close to the end of this panel. It was amazing to hear from you. And I want to ask if you have anything to share. I know Mehran has some, do you want to share the slide and then I copy paste the links?
I mean, I think if you share the links, it works fine.
Okay.
That way we don't disrupt the flow.
I will share the links where you can read more about Mehran's project. And if you guys, Simona and Ganzaro, want also to put some link in the chat so people can learn more about what you shared today and what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the three things I'm sharing are UNICEF's GitHub. All the work that we do is open source. So if you're ever interested in contributing or learning what kind of things we're working on, it's there. Our email is there as well. So, our GitHub not only has our blockchain projects, but it also has a lot of other things too. So if you want to get more pointed to which ones are the blockchain projects, email us and I can share that with you. And then the last thing is our Twitter page. We're fairly active on Twitter. You'll see recently we actually got some funding from Elon Musk's foundation to continue a lot of the work that we're doing. So you can keep track of a lot of these cool updates from there. And I see that Maria has shared that with you all.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Do you guys, Ganzaro and Simona, want also to link something? Yeah. Status. Amazing. So Simona is more or less an influencer on Twitter. So guys, please follow her.
Throw mine in there too. Thank you for the inspiration, Simona.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, guys, thank you. It was really a great time. It's just 1 hour, but every time I do it, I'm super happy of the conversation. And I invite you to share the same link. Will be basically the recording of the talk if you want to share with your audience. And I will also post it in our YouTube channel. So thank you a lot again, everyone. It was great to see your faces and hope to see you in real life soon.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much for having us.
Bye,
guys.
Nice meeting everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.